Hi, Luminaires. How is everybody doing today? Hi. Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie Butler. If you're new to this channel, thank you so much for being here. This is one of my moms, Jane. This is my dad, Joel. Say hi. And we are here today just to talk a little bit about how my dad has seen the light. He's seen the light. Oh my God. Some of you Luminaires have been keeping up with a private family journey of how my mom is approaching her healing. And I appreciate all of your wonderful, beautiful thoughts.
So do I.
Yes. And
Thank you.
And prayer and love and just attention to
Gratitude.
it. Yes. So we did a process, a thing. And so I figured it's not my story to share, but I got to talking to these guys and they thought it might be fun to share a little bit so you get a different perspective of how people are engaging with energy in their own healing process. I mean, this is how we're all learning, right? We're all the educators in this. So let's speak up and share a little bit. So I'm going to pass like the pretend baton to my mom, Jane. There, she's got it.
Well, Jamie gave me a homework assignment the other night. She said, lungs hold grief. And my issue has been recently with lungs. So she said, your homework assignment is to make a list of everything you've ever grieved about. She goes, I don't care how silly, how young you were, how deep, how shallow, just anything you can think of that gave you grief. And I'm like going, okay. So I got out a pad and paper and like, I was like page 3 and I was starting to wear out. I'm like, oh my God, it's just pouring out for me. All of these things, relationships primarily, sister dying to silly things, high school, it was just things that I could think of that gave me grief. So that list sat around for a few days and Joel asked me, would you mind if I read your list? I go, no, please, let's discuss it. Because he goes, well, am I in there?
That's an open relationship right there, right?
He says, am I in there? I go, yes, you are.
You were? I did not read it.
So we sat together and he had the list and he went through every one of them. So kind, point by point. And we discussed them, and there wasn't anything in there that he hadn't heard me gripe about.
That's
so
cool. Yeah.
Nothing new, no surprises, wouldn't you say?
No.
So Jamie said, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to burn.
Yeah, we're going to set this on fire.
And I said, well, can I shred it first?
Yes. She could try. Actually, it was like, go get scissors and purposely cut, and imagine that you're cutting that grief away from you. So the documentation is to pull the acknowledgement of it out of the body and give it a place to live. And the scissors were to cut the cords of how you carry it. She was like, can I tear it?
I want to rip it up. So please. She goes, oh yeah, that's great. So I sat there and I started shredding. And I had a little baggie. And I shredded long ways, and then I shredded short ways, and I had little bitty thumbnail pieces, and all in this baggie.
Yeah.
So then I stuck it in my pocket and carried it around all day, waiting with a box of matches and a bowl to that perfect moment to burn my griefs.
Yeah. We didn't find the perfect moment when we were out, but then this guy, when we parked the car, he was like, we're going to go around the building. I was like, oh my God, I feel like I'm in elementary school and I'm about to do something wrong, or junior high and I'm going around the back to smoke a cigarette or something. I was like, did you think any cameras? We're like, looking cameras, because
security. So I spent a little bit of time picking out the bowl to burn my griefs in. And I I knew the moment that I saw it, which was the correct one, and it had belonged to my mother-in-law, Joel's mother, Jane's grandmother, and I thought, this is it. This is perfect. So we went around the corner, and I got down squatted on the ground, which is not an easy thing for me to do, and sprinkled all my little pieces of paper into the bowl. And then I had a
ceramic
box of kitchen matches, the wooden kind, because I wanted to smell the sulfur.
Oh, is that what it was?
I
was like, let's get a mat. Like, let's get a lighter. I want to make sure you got enough fire. She's like, no.
There's something about that match, the wood and the sulfur, that was part of the burn process for me.
So that right there, acknowledging, like, Jane knew that the smell of the sulfur would help with the process. That kind of intent work is what's needed, Luminaires, when you go to do your energy work. Take the extra step to give yourself that perfect alignment, scent-wise, sight-wise, smell-wise, comfort, all of that. Because if those needs are met, then your intent is stronger to the task at hand. I apologize.
Yes.
Go
No, it's good because I'm learning. I've never done anything like this before.
Amazing.
I do have to say that it reminded me of burning your bridges. And you're not supposed to do that. But I'm thinking, you know what? These are bridges that I need to pull out of me and burn. So I started lighting matches and piling up. And, it's kind of hard to get them to burn. So I was seriously intent on burning every little piece of paper.
Right.
So I kept lighting another match, and I kept stirring them. Joel handed me a stick, and I'm like stirring it like a cauldron.
Her long red hair hanging over a tiny fire pit.
Well, I want to know the two little pieces that did not want to burn.
There were
What were those two?
I don't know, because I
I
refused.
didn't read them.
I refused to read the pieces that were hard to burn, but I chased them around that bowl, and I kept putting a match to them until everything was gone. And it was interesting because all of the ashes, everything, nothing like just went up like a bonfire. It just disintegrated. It became just like a scum on the bowl, and it was left with nothing but a scum on the bowl. There weren't ashes. It was weird.
But you did a good job of verbally venting the whole process of 4 or 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'm like zeroed in on this.
Yeah,
and Jamie told me, she says, you need to acknowledge what you're doing. And you know what? It's like a dream. I know I did this, but I can't remember what I said. But it was along the lines of, thank you for this opportunity. I want this out of me. I need this out of me. I'm purging. You might remember what I said. I don't know. But it was everything that came from my soul. I could feel my soul in there just helping me.
That you could see. The focus, the intent. I was listening to the words at the beginning, and then, you were hunched over stirring your baby cauldron. And I noticed out of your back, this stuff started to come out. And Joel and I were leaning up against the back of the parking garage, kind of like,
just hanging out.
The boss. I don't know, like we're like, And then I look over and I go, oh my God. So I got up behind Jane and started catching it. It looked like at the beginning when it released, you know how cotton candy is made, it just kind of forms magically in the machine and it gets bigger and bigger. It started doing that. So I started grabbing it and pulling it and dumping it and pulling it and dumping it and grabbing and pulling and working. And then all of a sudden you said some words. I don't know what it was. And it was like the top side of your lungs went and bulged up and out of your back. It's like, what? And had a very specific color, a very specific texture. It was very clear. And I was like, oh my God. So I just started scraping, grabbing it as fast as I could. And then nothing else was coming up. So I went to the next layer of energy, which is further away than the body, the etheric, astral levels, and just higher and higher up, and cleaning it up, making sure it was all done. And by the time you finished, making those last few pieces burn, there was nothing but light coming out of her body. And it looked like she was a sponge, and there was a light source inside of it. And there were these little beams of light poking out the sponges. So I was having a great time working with the energy, being amazed about her focus and the cutting of the attachments and the releasing and what it was doing for her body, like an energy detox. I was amazed.
Yeah.
He's still leaning against the wall and doesn't say something to me until much later. Not right after. It wasn't right after, was it? I have to refresh my memory. But then this guy comes out of the darkness and says this.
Well, I was just observing. Jamie just immediately went over behind Jane and started pulling something off her back. And as soon as Jamie grabbed this certain area, then the vision came to me. It was like a gray mass, and I could see through it, but it was there, kind of like looking through not a blind or a sheer, I guess. And Jamie just moved it off, and it was gray and wavy, and I didn't say much. I was just like, And then Jamie threw it off and came in and grabbed some more, and I could see that also come off. And I was like, wow. So then I kind of hesitated to mention anything. Then Jamie said, man, did you see all that gray stuff that I got off of James' back? And I went, oh, yeah, I did see that. I was like, ooh.
Yeah, but then he told me, he was kind of round. And I was like, wait a second. Yes, like elephant skin. Like it was gray elephant skin mixed with cauliflower.
Yes, it was.
And we were describing the same thing. That
everybody's got different grief.
It's not that everybody will always see the same kind of light. Because your instrument, your eyes, your belief systems, your perspectives, they're slightly different than mine. And my dad is to mine. But we saw the same thing come out of her back and move it off and clear it. It was just so cool.
So was that negative energy or just, what would you describe that as being?
You tell me, what is negative energy to you?
Well, all those thoughts and burdens, I guess, that she has been carrying manifested something which you were able to help her remove.
So negative being something that you don't want? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think she did. She was trying to purge a lot of her.
Could we call it unwanted, unneeded, unused energy? Because there is a quality of energy that is negative. It's a negative current quality. But a lot of times I think we confuse it with negative, bad, awful, don't want it. And her current wasn't a negative energy current. It was gray. And gray to me, when I see gray on people, it's a disruptor. I see it when people do mood enhancing, even if they're legal or illegal drugs. You know, that changes them chemically in a way that doesn't need to be changed because maybe that person could have balanced themselves naturally. But of course, there's some of us who don't have those chemicals, and you take those mood enhancers and they fill in that missing piece. And it's a great, happy blend. But for the majority of us, it's not that way. And so it shows up as gray. It's this thick inhibitor. And when we hold on to blockages in our body, they turn dark and gray and they get black. When they get black, they start to show up physically. They can manifest cancers and injuries, ailments, illnesses. And so hers was that light elephant gray color.
Oh, okay. That makes a lot of sense.
So yes, I've seen the light. Oh boy, you never know.
He's seen the light several other times. Maybe we'll talk about that. I want to pause for a second before we pick back up and talk about it again and just say hi to a few of you Luminaires. Some of you are members on our YouTube membership. I see hi, Deb. It's so good to see you here, Deb. Look, one set of my parents. I've got two, like most people in America. I'm happy that all four of them are living. Yay!
Yeah, we're still around.
B says, I can't wait to hear the doctor after her next checkup. That's going to be fun. I said the same thing. Which is strange. We were all geared up and very prepared for next steps. And unfortunately, the doctor got exposed to COVID, and now that's all postponed, right?
Yes. Yes. So he's self-quarantined, and I have a telehealth conference with him today. But since he's self-quarantined for 2 weeks, nothing's going to happen anytime soon. But it's really the whole thing Jamie's been working on. She worked on me remotely from Atlanta, which was awesome. I would wake up in the morning and tell Joel, Jamie's been working on me. Gosh, I got this ache. It's like somebody was punching me, or herd of yaks walked across me or something.
A herd of yaks.
Yeah, all those little hooves, you know.
A tiny herd of yaks. Very healing. I like it because now there's 2 more weeks to get just the remaining tiny bit that's left in there. And B, I can't wait to hear what the doctor says.
Yes.
We'll keep you posted.
Yeah.
Jane.
Gratitude. I cannot tell you how much gratitude I have. Having Jamie in my life. Oh my God. I know. So.
Thank you.
Yeah, I got a husband with benefits.
He's so funny.
Oh, that's good, Jane.
Just visiting said my aura went pink when I was teaching. Yeah, my dad does love this. He's so into it. We're going to make him tell a few more stories if he wants. Maya, you say, how on point the book. I know the book that you guys picked for book club, You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza. All of that, like we're going to see exactly what my mom Jane was able to do with the intent and the cutting and the belief patternings and the rewiring, how it's changing her physical health, not only her mental and emotional health. That is strange, right? That we picked that book. That's a big vote we do.
Oh,
I
wow.
put 2 books, and then everybody votes on which one we're going to read.
There are no coincidences. Everything is by design.
Hi, Ashley. It's good to see you here. I'm glad you enjoyed our story sharing today. Hi, Kira. She says, Little Big Miracles in the House of Butler. Oh, yes. The House of Butler. That sounds pretty awesome. Jay, just connection and love will heal everything you need. I like that. I like those values.
I believe that, and belief, I think, is what makes it work. You have to believe it. There's no room for doubt.
There's no room for doubt. So, Claudia, that's your answer when you're asking, how can we do this alone without having somebody clearing the energy that comes out? Absolutely. If I wasn't there, the energy would have come out of her. Most likely what would have happened, one of 2 things, of course, we can always go 2 ways. The energy will stay in the energy field until she brushes it off. And often when it's in our energy field, it'll pop back up as memory. And memories are not signs that you didn't do the work or there's something left undone. It doesn't mean that you have to give up and sigh and go, crap, I'm thinking about it, so obviously what I did doesn't work. You can have memories on things and not recreate a cord or recreate an energy pattern, recreate the illness, the disease, the mishap, the whatever, and the emotions, recreate those emotions. You can actually have a memory and be disconnected from all of that. So you'll have to decide which 2 ways you're going to go when you have the memory. To shoo it off and clean your energy, or if you decide to pick it back up and make it real for you again. So that's where it requires your awareness, your mindfulness, and your muscles, and keeping your energy clean. But you can totally do it, Claudia.
Well, that was a question I asked Jamie because there were some of my griefs I definitely don't want to erase, like my sister that I love dearly, who passed when we were young adults. I don't want to miss any of those memories. But she said, "Oh no, you won't. You just won't be carrying that grief around. That is debilitating."
Yeah. You don't need to carry it anymore.
Mm-mm.
It goes for anybody, everybody out there.
Right.
If there's something that's conflicting inside of you, some of us use it as a crutch to stay in victimhood or to stay in this kind of blame game. Oh, I'm this way because of that. But you don't need to have the because of that. You can move it off your plate. You really can, even if you don't believe you're strong enough, capable, intelligent enough, too alone, too busy. I mean, all those are excuses. Just get real.
Right. And some of those griefs were learning experiences that I don't want to repeat. So I definitely don't want to erase them from my memory because I learned the hard way. and but I just don't want to carry that as something that hurt me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Genevieve's giving us permission to have a party right now that we need to go all out. Genevieve, my dance moves, they're not very good. This is who I learned them from this guy. This is it. If I learned from this one, I'd have some moves. But I didn't. I learned from that one. Oh my goodness. Other words. So Oriel says, in other words, our memories in Akashic records. Our memories are in Akashic records. Yeah, they're up there, they're stored. They're away from you. You don't, just because you acknowledge them, see them, can go through them in your head, does not make them a real to life reaction in your body. But again, it takes mindfulness and awareness to acknowledge that that's what's happening. Because we get lazy and we can fall into the memory and then go, oh yeah, that was crappy. And now I'm going to crappy roll that into my crappy day, and I'm not going to give it purpose for being there and the reason of why I can't achieve or do or be or succeed or, breathe right or meditate or speak to my guides or connect deeply or heal myself. Like story time. You can release it. Lacey Cole 3. Hi, Jamie's dad. It's Joel. I love you. You remind me so much of my dad.
Oh, thank you.
He's been one of my biggest supporters on this journey.
Awesome. Thank you.
This dad's a really good dad to many others. Same with this mom. This mom is a really good mom to many others.
Love being a mom.
Mary Anderson says, do you think our memories are in our DNA?
Ooh.
Oh.
What's your opinions?
I think that your soul doesn't forget. I don't know about DNA, but I know that my soul is with me before and after this humanness.
Memory is part of your DNA? The mystery of life. I don't really have a great answer in that as well, so I refer to the dead people. And what I hear from them is that memories are energy, thoughts are energy, experiences, everything is energy as well as cells, DNA, everything is energy. So yeah, it's interchangeable, but the way that we like to see things in the 3D world is to label and create separatism, to have a false sense of control and an ability to control our connection with something. So if you have to label where memories are, you can say yes, because memories are also embedded into muscle. They're reminding me, that's kind of that. Yeah, so they are embedded into the cellular level, into the tissues and so forth. Yeah.
Or your lungs.
Or your lungs. Not anymore.
No.
whoosh, just like bellowed up. We've already talked about it like 2 or 3 times a day when we took a walk. It's like, it was great. I'm like, I know you saw it too, and I saw it too, and it just like came out of her.
Did it have an odor?
No, I don't know.
I didn't smell anything. I didn't taste anything. That's a thing. That's a thing.
Yeah.
Some of you Luminaires have done that. Taste energy.
Mm.
No, it just looked like a color.
Looked like a seat cushion to me. That thick. It was like pliable.
Cushy?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
Like you could use it for a cushion.
It was.
You know, like 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, maybe.
Shape.
Just
Huh.
It was trippy. Thank you, Linda, for acknowledging your compliments on saying lovely family. It's very sweet. Maitland once said that healing ourselves is a right we have as humans. Yes. Did anybody tape it or get it on film? Asked Jay. No, we didn't. We just hid around the building like
Teenagers.
like we were smoking a joint. Maybe.
Yes.
And we were
so
doing
much.
something illicit.
Yes, something bad. And so I didn't think to pull out the camera or anything once she started talking and energy started bellowing out. Amy G, she caught the live. Well, not really. She's got to go back and listen to all the good stuff. Hello to the 3 of you. Where's the coffee or the wine if we're all here hanging out? I know. Well, it's very cute, Big Red that I have. My mom has Big Blue, and my dad now has Big Orange.
Love those thermoses.
We're all sitting over there like a little family as well. It's pretty funny. Yes. Are salt baths helpful for pulling out unneeded energy, says Emma. Absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. Even if you don't have a tub, you can get a bucket and get hottest water that your feet can stand and put salt in it. And I like to overdo my salt content, but you don't need that much. And make sure that it's not burning you, but you can stand the heat and then stay there as long as you can. And then you can have a little ice tub that you can drop your feet into to end the hydro healing.
Oh. So is that why swimming in the ocean, the Gulf, and just like soaking up all that salt water just feels like
so
it just feels so natural and something like, I don't know, like this is where I crawled out of.
That might be your truth. Yeah, it ionizes, it cleanses our energy.
Wow. Yeah, it feels good.
So we will promise to keep you updated with anything. Well, it's going to be up to my mom if she wants to share or not. That is first and foremost in my priority.
Thank you.
But if you wish to share kind of what's happened or what the next step is, I'd be honored to pass that forward.
Well, Jamie has shared with me all of the well wishes and the thoughts and positive vibes that you guys have put out there for me. I just want to thank you. I like personally thank each and every one of you. It's working.
Yeah, it is working. It's changing drastically.
Mm-hmm.
I know you have to prep
Yes,
for your phone call, so whenever you need to step aside, you can do that. There's no problem.
Thank you, Luminaires.
Whatever.
Thank you, my two favorite women.
Oh no,
All right.
you're staying.
Oh.
I've got him under attack. Slide over. It says the title. See the title? It
I
says
think we're out of
Dad
time. Let's see.
sees the light.
Oh, okay.
Now he's literally trying to find the title now. I know that you have seen energy a handful of times.
Well, yeah, 3 times that I'm sure of it.
At any time, like, do you have a common thread in those times? Was it under trauma? Was it under distress? Was it under, like, I'm just so happy? Were you on drugs?
Well, the first time it was, I hate to say it, but it was under alcohol.
All right.
Well, we had a friend who had an illness, and we'd been following you, and everybody was, there was like 7 of us, and this one lady had an illness, an operation that she was going to have done, and she was in pain. And so Jane goes, well, we need to do what Jamie says and just get her out there and sweep her. I've got a table we'll put her on.
Is that really how it came out?
And of course, I'm like, oh, okay. And we did. And we get out, put her on it was a beautiful, relaxed evening. And so Jane was getting us all together, like maybe 3 on each side, and we were just doing the sweep down our body. And all of a sudden,
so
right between my fingers, this green emerald light was flashing. And I was like, oh no, is that really? So I left. I went back in, took another little toddy, came back out, back over, and it was like this.
Like one more drink was
light.
going to help you.
Well, I was wanting to make sure that
sober up.
That's what I was seeing, because, you just like, that's kind of a shocker. I mean, it was so real. It was there, and it was like flickering. Every time you'd come down, it would flash. And so that was the first time. And then the second time was...
Hold that. Sally Jeffries, if you're still here, that is another way to clean energy off of you. Get somebody you know to just sweep the energy, just like my dad was talking about, hands above the body. You can do about an inch or 2. And you just go head to toe.
Mm-hmm.
Start at the head, go down to the feet. It feels better to have more energy around the feet than the head. Think of it like a balancing tool. If you have too much energy around the head, you're daydreaming or you're stuck in a vicious cycle, there's too much to process. But if you have extra energy around your feet, you'll feel very grounded, heavy and sturdy like a tree. Sometimes it can feel too much and anchor you. So if you're new at this, to start at the head and move all the way down to the feet. Maybe you'll get a light show like this young man happened to get. You were saying second time.
Well, the second time I was in the hospital with appendicitis that ruptured, and it was pretty serious because I delayed going to the hospital for a few days.
Because he thought it was the stomach flu.
Yeah, usually I get over something, but I didn't. So it was rough, 9 days in the hospital.
Yeah.
And on the last day, a wonderful nurse, female, came in and gave me a list of all of the things that I should do when I get home. And she was just a very caring type person. And behind her was a big window in this hospital room. And this whole window just lit up emerald green. It was like, really? Am I seeing this? No, kid. And I mean, this lasted 10, 15 minutes.
Did you try to go get a drink in that time?
I would have hit the morphine button if I could have found it.
So
but that was real. That was real.
Could you look away and look back at her and still see
It
it?
was still.
Close your
I
eyes.
tried that. It was still. So that was real. And then the third time was yesterday, right? We did that.
It was yesterday.
Yeah. And I think that, looking, you were asking me, in all 3 situations, it was a very calm, caring type of environment. That,
Yeah, it was.
I was always relaxed, or I don't know, in some kind of zone or something. That I was okay with seeing whatever I saw.
That's really neat. It didn't have the thread of being like using the alcohol or other things or trauma or each one was being cared for or providing care.
That's correct.
It's brilliant. He also has another story, but he doesn't talk about it. It's when he saw Mr. Singer in his old house.
In the hallway?
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't there.
Who did you see?
I think it was an Indian.
My dad lived in a house in Central Florida, and there was a gentleman that also lived in the house that was in spirit.
Mm-hmm.
You think it was a Native American Indian?
Well, I knew there was a lot of Indians that used to live around that lake, so
Okay, what happened? I'm going to hear this.
no,
Maybe a long time ago, maybe you've shared this, but how do you know that somebody was there? How did you know it was even a man? It could have been a woman. How did you know it was a first person, Native American? How did you know that?
well, I always thought that Janet would always say that she felt like somebody was in the house. Somebody's in the house. And I go, then we went, well, maybe there's an old Indian tribe that lives here under these oak trees on the shore of the lake. And Jane says, no, I don't think it is. And Jane was with me.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Jane.
But he always hung out in the hallway.
Hear my mom. She's like, he always hung out in the hallway, the ghost.
Mm-hmm.
This is the hallway.
Underneath the big ceiling fan.
One of those big attic fans
Yeah.
that you can crank open and it sucks all the air to the house and cleanses everything.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably his idea to put it there.
Yeah, it probably was one of his better ideas because it worked. It really did a good job.
That was Mr. Singer's house, wasn't
Yes,
it?
it was.
Mm-hmm. And then you did renovation.
And I think he liked the renovation. Maybe that's why he wanted to hang out and enjoy the house.
I think so.
Because I know his daughters did. They came back. Came
About
over
the
the
daughter
house.
that had a dream about it.
The daughter had a dream about the renovation?
Jane talked to her. I didn't.
Yeah.
Come back over here, Jane.
She thought she was going to prep for her
Well, I
phone
got
call,
a
but
few-
she's sitting on the
You
outside
gotta-
going,
you gotta-
I got a few
you gotta-
minutes.
tell this one
Well,
story.
the-
Wrap it up.
This was like a little bungalow, and we did this renovation that was pretty extensive. And one day we got a knock on the door, and these two girls, middle-aged women, they introduced themselves, and they said this was our childhood home, and we heard that you renovated, and we can see. We just wondered if by any chance could we come in and look around, and I was thrilled. I said absolutely. So I brought them in and showed them, gave them the tour, and then they just had all of these childhood memories, and so we wound up in the kitchen, of course, where we always wind up talking. And finally, after about an hour or so, I think they felt comfortable enough to the older daughter who came from California. They were visiting their mom, and she said, okay, I have to tell you why we're really here. I woke up not too long ago with this very vivid dream of my childhood home being completely renovated. She goes, and this was everything in here was in my dream. The color of the cabinets, the countertop, what you've done with the kitchen. She goes, I dreamed all of this explicitly. So I figured that her dad, Mr. Singer, came to her in her dream to let her know all that, because Joel, even though he has a hard time admitting this, would catch him in Joel's peripheral vision of like a shadow in the hallway. But you also described him as being tall, thin, and that's what Mr. Singer looked like.
It was Mr. Singer.
Very good.
It was Mr. Singer. I gotta go. Bye.
Thank you for sharing
Oh,
that.
thank you, Jane. Awesome.
I want you to know how nervous my dad gets before the camera comes on. It's super, super cute.
I started to do this, but Jamie said that wouldn't work.
Not gonna work. I want to let you guys know, if you love conversations like this and you too are an energy centric and sensitive person and you'd like to find some classes that might help you expand on that, on Fridays, Learn It Live platform, I teach a single topic for 30 minutes. This Friday, I'm actually going to be doing what you need to know, like the top thing that you need to know or do to communicate with spirit. And that's understanding the extreme different energies that you possess. So we go through some exercises. It's the extreme yes or no. I taught it a while back, but it was so popular, I'm going to teach it again. I'm also going to do a healing session. So for $10, 30-minute healing session. They're wonderful. I really enjoy them. I hope if you need any kind of assistance in maintaining a happy life, a healthy life, just maybe some clearing or some releasing, join me for that. And that's this Friday on the Learn It Live platform. You can find all these classes on my website. Look on the calendar. It's listed. We're also doing our trance channeling Q&A for our YouTube members. So get ready for that. That's going to be at 2 o'clock on this Friday. Normally it'd be today, but I'm here in Florida with my parents. And then that night on Learn It Live, we also have a Q&A with Spirit. So we will talk about a topic, and then we'll dive into questions that you have, and you can speak directly to the Spirit that's trance channeling through me to you, which is super awesome. Yay! Mary says, don't be nervous, Joel. We're all nerds here. So do more of these, Jamie. Love your family. Thank you, Billy. It makes this really unique topic that has been on the outskirts for so long. It helps normalize it when I think you can observe other people talking about it or even family members talking about it, that it's not untouchable. You can't approach it without, I guess, creating conflict on belief systems, whether it's religious or spiritual. You know, we're all just coming from our basic needs. Yeah. Billy said, I felt alone. We'd love, just come in, Billy. And just bring you in. I would hug you so hard if you were here right now. I am so happy, Linda. I get fed like feverishly when I'm around my family. I love it. Thanks. All right, guys. Luminaires, I'm so happy that you're here. Thank you so much for letting us chat up your ear and share some stories. Again, if you're looking for something, you want to learn, expand, grow, have an experience, receive a healing, check out learnitlive.com, Jamie Butler-Medium. I hope to see you over there, and have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your week. Bye. It's not woo-woo. Do it. It's not woo-woo.
It's true.
He knows it. It's true.